Chapter 4. A Taxi to the Police Station. Miss O'Brien came back from the cinema at 7:30. Mary and Andy went to see her in her room. "Where were you, Mary?" asked Miss O'Brien. She looked a little angry. "Why didn't you come to the cinema with us?" "I'm very sorry, Miss O'Brien," said Mary. "But we've got something to tell you." "Well?" asked Miss O'Brien. She didn't smile. "Tell me." First, Mary told Miss O'Brien about Mr. Greenshirt in the Trinity College shop. Then she told her about the house in Merrion Square and about him running after them. Miss O'Brien listened to Mary. For a minute or two, she looked at her hands and thought. Then she looked up at Andy and Mary. "Right," she said. "We must go and tell the police about this. I'm going to call a taxi. You go and wait at the front of the hotel. I'm coming down in just a minute." "Thank you, Miss O'Brien," said Mary. Andy and Mary went down to the front of the hotel. They walked across the street and waited for the taxi. "Miss O'Brien is nice," said Mary. "She didn't actually get angry with us." "No, she didn't. But we're here for 2 more days," said Andy darkly. "There's still time." Andy and Mary stood and waited. Not many cars drove down Fleet Street. After 5 minutes, a taxi turned into the street. It stopped just in front of the teenagers. "This must be our taxi," said Mary. She walked over to it and opened the back door. "Is this for Miss O'Brien?" she asked the back of the driver's head. "That's right," said the driver. Mary got into the back. Andy went round the car, got in next to her, and closed the door. "Miss O'Brien is just coming," said Mary to the driver. She turned and started to say something to Andy, but then saw the look on his face. Andy's eyes were on the driver. Mary looked at the driver too. Then she saw it. Under the driver's brown jacket, a green shirt. "Out now," said Andy, and tried to open his door. Mary tried her door at the same time. The back doors didn't open, but the front door did, and a second man got into the car. He was tall and thin. He wore a blue shirt and black trousers. He looked back at Andy and Mary. He had black hair and a cold smile. "You can't get out," he said. "The doors don't open, and nobody can see in. The windows are dark." He turned to Mr. Greenshirt. "Go," he said. The car started, and they drove off. "What are you doing? Where are you taking us?" asked Mary. Mr. Blueshirt turned and looked at Mary. He smiled again. His eyes really were cold.